we came out here to film a quick video. We're still a very new channel. We don't have a lot of videos, but the videos that we do have some similar faces, familiar faces that show up every time we film. And as anyone knows, you know, if you have a farm, if you have pets, you know, you have any kind of typical home environment, you have a lot of family members. And we just lost one of our farm family members, and so we just wanted to come and make a video about it because it's been really rough. It happened last week. As of the making of this video, it happened last week, and it was too emotional for me to film anything. We lost our rooster Charles. So if you've watched any of our other videos, last week we said goodbye to Charles, big man Charles. And it's so funny to think that a rooster could touch your life in such a profound way. And it sounds silly when I hear myself say it to other people. But I mean, I'm a rooster mom. You know, Charles was my baby boy. I just never expected my whole life that I would be that attached to a rooster. And I really think it's because he attached himself to us. So I'm gonna make this a really short video, and I'm just gonna very briefly tell you what happened. And and where we go from here. So I think animal ownership is one of the hardest things because they don't live as long as humans. They are more prone to death and sickness and injury. I think sometimes more so than us. You know, humans tend to be a little bit more resilient, whereas animals need a lot more nurturing and care. But Charles was old. He was almost 5. And he was just an old man. And it basically started, I would say, would you say a couple of weeks before, or within the last few weeks, several weeks, we've noticed his eyesight and his hearing have been going. And he, especially the last 2 or 3 weeks, he was shedding more feathers than usual around, like on the back porch, like his tail feathers. He was leaving tail feathers. And it was just kind of a slow progression. Like, we knew he was getting older. We knew that at some point it was, you know, he'd be any moment now because of his age and just his progression of life. And he went missing one day. And I say missing because it's not usual for him to not come when we're outside. If you've watched our videos, he comes running. Anytime I pull in the driveway, he comes running. I always say he's running, but he comes running towards us. That big, fast, brisk waddle that he has. And anytime we're outside, he's right there with us. He follows us around. He comes to the back porch first thing in the morning. He roosts on the back porch at night. He's back. He finds us all during the day. He's always there. And so one day he wasn't, and we kind of panicked and we thought, oh no, maybe this was it. But he came back that afternoon, and it was just out of character for him, and it was just odd. And then it was about 2 days later. Sorry, we're getting eaten up by bugs out here. Sean, I know that morning, well, I will say my husband went to work early that morning. He goes to work before the sun's up. And usually he'll feed Charles. He'll talk to him. He says Charles will kind of crow at him, and he didn't. He was roosting on the back porch, and he didn't really say anything. And then you went out to feed the chickens. What happened? When did you notice that something was wrong?
So I was just going out to feed the chickens as per usual, and I was like, and I didn't see any Charles like running at me, because normally he would run at me. So I called for Charles, because I thought, because normally he's at the front of the house sometimes when he's during the day, and I was like, oh, he's probably over there. So I went over there. He wasn't there, and that's when I started to panic a little bit. So then
when he did come, so Sean thought that he was injured because he was limping, and Sean put him in the cat house. We have some outdoor cat. We have farm cats, and or mousers, as a lot of people call them. And so we have shelters and things for them. They are well cared for. So you know, that's probably a whole other video. But he put Charles had kind of taken over one of the shelters that the cats use, and so Sean put him in there. And then he kind of wandered out and went under one of his favorite bushes, and then he went to another bush at some point. And I was recording. I have another YouTube channel, and I had an interview with a guest, and so I had recorded that. And then I had an interview for a volunteer job that I'm going to be volunteering to work with some youth, doing some mentoring. And so I had an interview with them, and all virtual at the house. And so I didn't know what was going on, and I came outside after my mentoring interview, and he was on the back porch, and he was facing the back door, and he was all huddled down, and I immediately knew that something wasn't right, because he was he didn't look right. He didn't look good, and the flies were gathering around him, and he was just like sleeping, and then he'd wake up and he'd sleep and he'd wake up. So we stayed out with him the rest of the time and just loved on him and sang to him. And I read him my favorite poem, which is Dylan Thomas's Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night. I love that poem. And we just stayed with him because I didn't want him to be alone. And I felt like he was suffering. It's hard to tell. But we waited for, Brian was working late, and we waited for him to get home to kind of assess the damage, because I didn't know, did he get injured by an animal? We couldn't tell. I was afraid to move him. And then Brian got home and took a good look at him, and there were no injuries, but he was leaking some fluids. And Brian was raised on a farm, and he worked on his uncle's farm growing up, and so he has a lot of animal experience. And he said he's at the end, and you could just tell because the flies, and he couldn't move, and he would stand up. It was kind of funny because he would kind of rally, and it was like, okay, he's trying to do something. And he would stand up and he'd move a few inches away, and then he'd lay back down. And so we decided that it was best to just say our goodbyes. And he passed away that evening. And we buried him out here, which is why we came out here. We were going to shoot some video, and we have a gravestone, like a headstone, like a big old stone that's on the property that we were going to use, and we were going to paint it and put his name on it. But a wild animal has dug up his grave, and it's just nature. They buried him very deep. But yeah. So that was kind of disturbing to me, and I know it's normal, it's nature, but yeah, that's the shortest video I can make to say that our beautiful Rhode Island Red Rooster Charles, whom we did not know we could ever love a rooster as much as we love him, has passed away. And it's very quiet around here. What are you gonna miss most about Charles?
The crowing, and him just waddling and running. He runs and runs. And
I know, I would pull in the driveway, and wherever he was, he would just come running to meet me. Like, oh, she's home. Yeah, I'm gonna miss every morning. First thing when I would get up, he would come, and I don't know if he could sense, if he could hear me moving in the kitchen, but he would, as soon as I was up, he would come to the back porch and, you know, and I'd say, good morning, Charles. It's hard to look at blueberries if you've watched our channel. If you watch some of the other videos, we would feed him blueberries and raspberries, but he loved blueberries. And it's just a bittersweet thing. I'm gonna miss watching you carry him around. It's, you know, because the thing is with roosters, a lot of roosters are mean. Or, you know, they're very protective, and their instincts are very much, they're not going to let you pick them up and hold them and carry them around and love on them. And they're certainly not going to like follow you around and try to come in your house, because Charles wanted to come in the house. He's like, okay, hey, this dog gets to come in. Why can't I come in? So I did let Sean hold him and bring him in. And he did one time, and he did come in the sunroom when we were painting. We have a sunroom / mud room that we turned into an art room that we paint. So he got to come in there and hang out with us when we were painting. And yeah, I'm just gonna miss seeing the two of you together. Sean used to slide down when we had the swing set, or the playground thing that is in one of our videos. We did a demo and tore it apart because it was old. Sean used to slide down the slide with them. We are getting covered in all kinds of stuff out here, but it's peaceful being out here. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about Charles? You want people to know?
Well, when Mom told me to feed him some blueberries, and this was when he was dying, and one thing that hit me is that when I gave him the blueberries, he only ate the one, and that kind of struck me a little bit. Like, he only could have the one, and it was just sad for me to watch him go.
So I guess, you know, I'll just end this video with saying, anytime you bring something or someone into your life, you know, you're gonna get attached, and it's a good thing to make connections. And we as human beings, we are built to connect on an emotional level with other people and with other species, and it's a good thing. But it's also a very difficult thing when you have to part ways for various reasons. And so I guess I kind of just want to end this video with just a little bit of love to anyone who has ever, if you're going through it right now, anyone who's ever been through any type of grief or loss or separation, whether it be human or animal, you know, take each day and just remember all of the positive and wonderful moments and times, and gratitude, being grateful for every moment that we have here in this life. Death, whether it's human or animal, reminds us how short our days are, how short our time is. It reminds us how precious life is, and how sometimes we get caught up in the everyday mundane routines and tasks, and we get frustrated by little things, and you know, we get stressed out. And you know, when things like this happen, you realize that none of that really matters as much as we make it out to be, because what matters is the people and the animals and the emotional connections that we have in this life, you know, especially people, you know. But I mean, I think it is very good to remember that for so many of us, there are animals that are in our family that we feel every bit attached to as we do some of the humans, and that animals are a beautiful part of our life. They enrich our lives, and they're there for us sometimes in ways that humans can't be. So it is a very beautiful thing. And so to anyone who's going through any kind of loss or grief or separation, my heart goes out to you, and just focus on all of the happy times and the happy memories. Thank you for watching. If you haven't watched our other videos, you know, please go take a look at Charles and remember him with us. And yeah, it's just quiet. It's quiet on the farm without him. It's just really, really quiet. This was definitely not a video that we wanted to have to make, but thank you for sharing in our journey, and we'll see you all very soon.